Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to your place of chill. That is the Kauffie Company, of course, live here as always on the Kauffie Company and Tottenham On Tour, the world famous home of Levy Out. And
the Thomas Frankaholic Rehab Centre is open for another session.
Indeed, we're always here. And today is a very exciting day. It's one of those things, it's like Christmas, but it is 27 degrees outside. So basically, we're in Australia. So we're here. The fixtures have now been released, and we've got a very special guest joining us to talk through all the fixtures, what ones we're excited by, what we're not so excited by. But, Aki, Brian, how are you doing firstly?
I'm good. It's only 9 o'clock in the morning here, and it's already 24 degrees. So the weather is getting hot here, like you guys. And yeah, fixture list out. Always a exciting day when it comes in. Spurs aren't playing on Ilana's birthday. In fact, they aren't playing for 4 days before. And then we've got Chelsea the day after, which we'll go through. So the day after, I'm free. So I'm happy with that.
And Lubo, welcome back to the show. You, of course, made your debut on this show and subsequently have become a Tottenham Hotspur superstar. You're the man, you're on TikTok, Instagram, all of that stuff. How are you doing today, sir?
Not so sure about that description, Ben, but this is my ancestral home, isn't it? This is where it all started.
Indeed.
Correct.
In the words of Joe Bonamassa, there's only 2 letters that separate infamous from famous. So we need to find which one you are. But without further ado, I've already got my coffee made for me. Let's see who's in the chat to take us through the show. We got Rob Welsh. Good to see you, buddy. European champion. Adrian's in the house. European champion. Colin Crossamano. Double winner. And of course, European champion 3 times. 3 times European champion.
Same with Lubo.
Same with Lubo. We've got Ryan G's in the house, YouTube member, and of course, runners-up in the 1972 UEFA Cup final. Just got to remember that. 74. We got Leo, YouTube member, and of course, European champion. Musa, the #1 Agenbar in the world. Potato Stew, Mark Taylor, all European champions. Kudos, European champion. Indeed, Lubo is everywhere. Lubo is everywhere.
He's the veracity of YouTube.
He is. We have Auntie Kate's in the house. Good to see her. European champion. And she's saying big up Ben, Brian and Lubo.
Just a quick one to Kate. Sorry I didn't make it onto your mental health, but she's done her and Jim have just done another fabulous mental health stream, which is very, very close to this channel's heart. Fair play, Kate. Sorry I couldn't make it. I had a load going on today. But I'm sure it was a great show and a lot of people take comfort in it. So big up to both you and Jim for carrying it on.
Indeed. We got Ian Ferguson as well, YouTube member, and of course, European champion, Beyond 72, European champion, Atarak 1, Wembley 1. Stu Boy, good to see you, buddy. European champion, YouTube member, 4 times. Oh, okay then. Okay.
He's so entitled.
Howard title. Richest man, good to see you. European champion. I'm the only 1 time, indeed. Kulu's elusive right foot.
Oh, I haven't seen him. He's big up, buddy.
Good to see you, buddy. European champion and Sleepy Mocker, YouTube member, and of course European. Oh, and Fran coming in at the death. Good to see you.
We will be talking about that.
We will talk about this. We will future Premier League and if those 2 happen, we're going to be shameless. We're going to be just.
I will say I have broad shoulders. Failure isn't an option.
Indeed. But Daniel is in here as well. Let's talk about it. The fixtures are out. What of the
Let's
pair of
bring,
these reactions?
let's bring it up. They're all there, but yeah, let's get instant reactions. Ian, what's your overall? I mean, obviously, everyone's got to play each other twice, so it doesn't really matter when they come. I must admit, I don't know if people are on X, but the Arsenal fans are going in meltdown because of their opening 6 fixtures, and they've got a few tough ones. I'm like, surely you want to get them out of the way sooner, and then you could just. But hey ho, Arsenal. If Arsenal, there's no Angus here today. I'll bring this up when Angus makes his way.
He's hiding. He's hiding.
Exactly. What was your thoughts, Ian?
Well, started looking at the fixtures. I know football's played on grass and not on paper, but all we can talk about at the moment is on paper.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it and you think to yourself, probably couldn't have had a much easier home first fixture and a much tougher away. So first 2 are extremes, although Scott Parker will bring a low block, tight defensive unit to the lane, and we've got to find a way around that. I think it's a kind of fixture list that's greeting Thomas Frank's first year than greeted Ange, because Ange finished up with some real buggers of games towards the end of that first season with Liverpool away, Newcastle away. I think we had Arsenal at home, we had City, we had Chelsea. So it's not bad. November is mouth-watering. You look at those fixtures.
February as well, Ian.
Yeah, February as well. You know, but I think this shows we're going to be playing. If you sort of think realistically, we're probably not going to play 15 European games this season. I wouldn't have thought. I can't see us going all the way or semis or whatever. Yeah. So if we go, we had a good season in the League Cup in the Carabao last year, didn't we? Say we're going to play 55 games, we've got to have a really strong squad that's going to meet this. You know, and you look at December's fixtures. You can throw in hopefully a Carabao Cup quarter final. You're going to throw in a Champions League game as well. So you could end up with 8 games in December, much the same in January, and that's when you need those big squads.
You're right.
Coming that time of the year, players have been playing 4 months. A few of them have probably got niggles. They're playing with injury, etc. And you need a good squad. So I know we're going to get onto it a bit later on, but let's see if the chairman is all talk or whether he's going to put his money where his mouth is and help Thomas Frank put together a strong squad for next season.
Yeah, I mean, with yesterday's Manna from Heaven, right before the fan show that I did yesterday, and thanks everyone that watched it and took part. If anyone thought that nugget was going to drop and people like Ben, myself, and Ian Lubin isn't going to dissect it, then they'd be very much mistaken. Ben, before I speak about the fixture list, what's your thoughts? That's very interesting.
There you go. It's tough to say, really. We can't really talk about the fixtures until we know what our squad's going to be. We need a first month of the transfer window that's very, very strong. We really do need to build out. We do need to build out the squad. But I think it's good. It's good to get games like Manchester City out of the way. You want to play Manchester City early on in the season because they're not always up to their full stride, and they're going to be bedding in the new players that they've brought in, like the likes of Cherki and Ait Nouri. They're not going to be fully up to speed. So getting City out of the way, I know it's been one of our grounds that we actually quite like to play recently. So the tough games are, as Ian said, December. We really do need to have a good fitness regime. We need to really get going, because if the squad's not good enough, we're going to struggle. But we said that about last season, didn't we? And we said it, and it came to fruition. Was it in December? We didn't win a single game, was it?
Correct.
We didn't win.
September wasn't bad. We beat Brentford and
December we beat Southampton.
December was, apart from Southampton.
January was shocking.
December and Jan were dreadful. And to be fair, the last 12 games we won 1 out of 12, didn't we? And that was Southampton as well.
Yeah. I have to say for me, first of all, like I said, seeing that we're not playing on Lana's birthday, success immediately. I predicted
subject to change, Aki.
Yeah.
Now that you've said it twice, if you say it a third time, they're going to change the fixture immediately.
Well, hopefully they'll move it from October the 1st to November the 2nd, so it gives me an extra day's play. I wanted Chelsea away first game of the season. I've got it the one before the penultimate game of the season. I'm gonna steal a lot of things right now, which is so true, which Ben and Sim said this morning. If you look at it, the fixture list that first month, we all talk about Frank, the master tactician, and different systems and different styles and how he looks at the opposition. Well, we're going to go from Burnley, a low block team, to Man City, a high possession team, to Bournemouth, a very high press team. So he's going to have, you're going to see three different kinds, I would imagine, of approach to the game compared to what we are used to. And the other thing they said, which is right, is our first three Champions League games, according to the dates that they're going to be played, is followed up with an away game. Now, obviously, we had that last season with the Europa League and we lost every single one of them. Obviously, it will be different squad, different manager, different approach, different systems. So we'll see. But November, was it November? Yeah, November. And for me, January. But I see Leo has said he's looking at Manchester United. I've already spoken to Alana and I said, this global conference that you have to go to every year in November, try and tell them that they need to do it around the 22nd of November.
Yes.
Try your hardest. It was the beginning of November last year. I was like, let's try and say, listen, do you know what? Let's experience London at different times. Let's go for the end of November. Because if I could be over for a North London derby, it will be...
End of November's nice as well because you'll have all the Christmas lights out. It'll be nice.
Well, not just that, mate. It'll brace myself for a nice pre-winter, warmer getaway before I get lambasted with December, January. Yeah, exactly. So they're good fixtures. I've got. Do you know what? For once, I'm actually happy with the way the fixtures have lied. I really am. But what guys in the people? What are the guys in the comments thinking? Are you happy with it?
Leo's asking a question. Are NLD tickets away doable? Very difficult. Very difficult. If you can find them, you're going to be paying over the odds, Leo. But that's the same as any away ticket.
Unless you find someone that won't do it for that, like someone within the community that might know someone or whatever. Even if I can't get a ticket to go to the filth, watching it at home in the pubs, as good as the Scotland Yard is, if I could be home for a North London derby, and the North London derby we're going to win at the Emirates, then I wouldn't be anywhere else.
That's a good question. Would you rather beat Chelsea twice or beat Arsenal at the Emirates? I'm thinking about this mathematically. Do I not? I'd rather beat Chelsea twice.
Yeah.
Realistically, I'd rather have 6 points than 3 points.
I've got to tell you, I'd rather beat Chelsea once.
That's true. I'd
like to beat Chelsea once.
Musa, I've got to listen. If I'm going there saying when people are going, Frank was so crap, Ange beat them twice, and I'm like, yeah, but I'd rather finish 18 points ahead of them than I'd rather Brentford. I'd rather any team beat us twice. We finish 18 points above that team. So I don't think I can say anything other than beat Chelsea. I mean, I can't. That year we beat Chelsea away. Did we beat them at home as well? Have we actually done the double over them? That would have been the only time.
You've got a better memory than I do.
Oh, it was 2019, wasn't it? That we beat?
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Chelsea 1, Tottenham 3. Tottenham. Someone will probably answer it in the. So what was the date? It was 2018. So in 2017-18.
Okay.
So Spurs, Chelsea, Spurs v Chelsea.
Yes, he does. He has a very good record versus Chelsea. Out of the four times he's played at Stamford Bridge, he's won 3 times. So that is
They beat us. Okay, so they beat us 2-1. It was the first game at Wembley, wasn't it? They beat us 2-1 at Wembley, and then we did 3. So yeah, we've never done the double over them in the Premier League. Actually, I can't even remember. Ian, now I'm going to test you and Colin Crossamano and people of that age that are in the chat that are obviously older than myself because I can't remember it. Can people remember the last time we did a league double over Chelsea? Ian's got a way to think about it. He'll be back.
He's got a way to think.
Stuart's in the chat. Stuart might know it. Can anyone remember the last time?
I don't know.
I mean, I'll try and let's see if we can.
It won't be in the last 40 years. You're talking 70s, I reckon.
I think it might be earlier than that. The league double over Chelsea.
He's back. He's back.
Did that crash momentarily?
Yes.
Did. When was the last time Spurs did a double over Chelsea, Lubo?
Oh, a long, long time ago. Could even be 89, 90.
It definitely wasn't 89, 90. I remember those seasons with Lineker and we got battered 4-1 at home. And then Lineker scored the winner at Stamford Bridge. So it's for some reason, I don't know if that's correct, but Google is telling me, but it hasn't said it properly there. 1970-71 season.
Was it really?
That's what I'm thinking. Tottenham were but I don't know if Google's actually. It says Tottenham are aiming to do a league double over. Yep, Tottenham are aiming to do a league double over London rivals Chelsea for the first time since 1971.
I said the 70s. I said it.
1971 was the first time we got a league double over them. Never a Premier League. So that was like, what's that? That was 8 years before I was born. And I'm 46 on Sunday.
We have Jesse's in the house. Good to see you, Jesse. There are 107 of you in the audience. Please make sure you like and subscribe to both channels. Here he is. Premier League runners-up and 4th place in the Champions League. Yes. How are you feeling, Angus? Are you feeling a bit sick? Are you feeling a bit sad? Let us know, Angus. Let us know. Whoever you're supporting, let us know what you think of your fixtures, because we have people that support Manchester United in the chat. We have people that support Leeds, Wolves. Let us know what you think.
They've got Old Trafford, so they go to Manchester United first game of the season, and normally that's a fixture you really don't want.
Yeah.
But over the last few years, I don't think it's nowhere near as intimidating as it once was, is it?
It really isn't. Lubo, what's your thoughts on Manchester United away from home now? It's a bit easier now, isn't it?
I think it'll be harder next season.
Way they're going, yeah. Cunha, we'll see if Mbeumo doesn't choose the high road and come to Tottenham.
I think it'll be harder. I do think Emery's a good manager. Don't think he's got much to work with there. You know, it's quite the side's unbalanced, really. So for me, you know, he's got a left back who's permanently injured. Harry Maguire's okay, nothing great. Martinez is always injured. Up front, he's got problems with Højlund, who's not been prolific. Garnacho, he obviously doesn't fancy. It's a bit of a mess there.
It is.
Casemiro's aging. Ugarte's a nice player. He'll do well for them.
So leave this one here.
He'll be better.
Leave it. I'll tell you what we'll do. Roy has given us the perfect segue to move on to anything. I said yes. I said yesterday, Roy, I'll get your two opinions on it. I actually think that Vinay and Levy interview, which we will talk about, has been planned to come out for a little while. And I wouldn't be surprised if we hear from Frank before the end of the week now. Now that's come out and they said what they had to say, I think they wanted to hold off. I could be completely wrong. He's on holiday. He may not have got all the stuff done that's needed with all the announcements and everything. But I think in the back of my mind, or in the back of Tottenham's mind as well, that they knew this video was going to drop. And they wanted this out first. I mean, what do you think, Lubo?
I just think it's quite simple. He's on holiday. You know, he probably took his holiday first 2 weeks of June last year. So he's worked for virtually a year.
Yep.
He's finalised negotiations with Spurs. He's gone away for a 2-week break. Simple as that. You know, leave the guy alone, let him relax with his wife away somewhere. He's got loads. He's got a big job when he gets back. He's got a massive job when he's got back. When he gets back, he's got an unbalanced squad. He's got to sort that out. We got God knows how many goalkeepers, loads of centre backs, loads of wingers. We haven't got any centre forwards. We've got hardly any midfield players. He's got loads to sort out. You know, so let's leave him alone. Let him enjoy his break. I've no doubt he's poured through, God knows, dozens and dozens of videos from last season. I'm sure he's seen the squad. I'm sure he's weighed up quite quickly who he likes, who he's not sure about, who he wants rid of, and also given them a shopping list of who he wants to buy and bring in. Next few weeks are going to be really interesting. Really interesting.
It is. It is. What's your thoughts, Ben?
It's a very interesting one. Well, one of the things it's a very interesting listen is Thomas Frank after we beat them. When they beat them, and he basically did an analysis of the squad. He did so all the players he likes, like things like we knew that he likes Pedro Porro because he did a relatively. I think he already knew that this job was up for grabs, and I think he's already done this analysis. As much as I think Lubo is right that it's a difficult job, I think he's done this analysis a lot earlier. So I think he knows what he's getting into. And we just need to see. We just need to get these transfers done. I think we really will understand what we're looking at when we praised Ben Davis. So I think as soon as we start getting a couple of signings in, I think that's when we can really relax and say, okay, we've got meat and potatoes here. We've got some chillin'. Now, let's see what happens. Big up chillin'. Big up the chillin'. Tottenham on tour, the only place where you hear people say big up chillin'. But yes, yep. I think he's already done a full analysis of the squad. What do you think, Brian?
Well, like I said, I don't know if I've still got something niggling at me saying they were waiting for this Levy video to drop. But I completely get he could be on holiday. Like we're saying with transfers, they can be done over the phone, they can be sorted. But the announcement of them now becomes as big as the transfer, doesn't it? They have to have their media day and their announcements. I mean, I wish we had Burnley's creativity for announcing new players because it's top of the league. Their stuff, they are miles away. But it could. I think a lot of it will have to do with his holiday. But there's just something in the back of my mind because Spurs didn't even promote this video. It was like bang on YouTube, and then people were talking about the. They normally drop it and everyone goes and sees it. Maybe we will see from him on Monday. Maybe we will see from him. He's obviously had time away, like all of them are. And we'll see. But it's just weird that the one time Spurs act quickly and getting a manager so late in waiting for seeing a first interview. Like when Jose was announced or any other manager, bang, an interview there. And previous one.
Conte was November, Jose was November, and Ange came in the beginning of July.
Well, Nuno was done bang. Yeah. So remember what? Do you know what? I think you know what it is. I think Thomas Frank is walking around wherever he is, thinking, "What is going to be my buzzword? I'm not going to say I'm going to make you proud." He's thinking, "What's my tagline for the Frank era?" And then he's going to drop a bombshell. But like we said, he's now the manager. We all know it. It's confirmed by Spurs. It's just weird, the silence, isn't it?
It's weird, isn't it? Because we were obviously all a bit, looking at the whole Mbeumo situation, which I think has really quietened down. I've not heard anything. Paige is a United fan. I've not heard anything from any sources. Is there anything on the Mbeumo saga? Is it us delaying the inevitable that he's going to Man United, or is it, or is there actual smoke to the fire that we're going for Mbeumo, and this is going to be Thomas Frank getting people, someone like Mbeumo. If we get an Mbeumo, that is a really good start to this window. That is our that's one of that. It makes our front three look a bit stuttery into a very good front line. I think even if you have Johnson and Mbeumo as your right wingers, you're going to be scoring 25 to 40 goals a season because those two do score goals.
Yeah.
I think United have made a couple of bids. If you believe what you read in the papers, they're below Brentford's asking price. Spurs have offered the asking price, and I think Mbeumo is waiting to see if United up their offer. He may also be waiting for Frank to get home and to sit down and have a chat with him. So I probably think next week you'll probably see something happening regarding Mbeumo, however you pronounce it. If there are any Brentford fans listening that can let us know, we'll see. Listen, it'd be great to get that one over the line to start with.
Who would you like to sign, Lubo? Who's your dream signing for Spurs to really get you excited for the new season?
I think him and Eze for forward positions. I like Paulinho as a 6. And then you're looking at a defender, left-footed defender who can cover Mickey and Udogie. That is a natural left-footed, either left-back or a centre-back. Not sure about that one. They're probably the 4 areas that we need to improve straight away. You know, you're never gonna fashion the team that you want in your handwriting on one transfer window.
Yep.
So it's going to take 3 or 4, 5 or 6 maybe for Frank to put everything in place. But to start with, he's got to fill the holes, fill the gaps in the squads. You know, we got so many wingers, and he may even play a 3-5-2 with Porro and Udogie as wing backs. So it's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of ins and a lot of outs between now and the end of August. He's also got to look at loads and loads of youngsters coming back who have been on loan. You've got Gunter, Keeley, Phillips, Dorrington. You've got Vuskovic coming in. You've got Devine. You've got
they're in the building.
Lancashire. You got loads. You got several. There must be 9 or 10, I would think. George Abbott, that he'll obviously want to have a look at as well. You got all this. You got this kid as well. I was just reading yesterday. We signed this kid from Chelsea called Russell Denny. He scored for England under 19s yesterday. Who's meant to be the business as well. You got Luca Williams-Barnett, who's 16, who's being talked up big time, you know, in the academy last season. There's no shortage of good kids. Let's not forget, obviously, Mikey Moore. We need established players now.
Yeah,
that's what we need. We don't need any more kids. Didn't need Tell. However good Tell could be in the future, and he could be very good. We didn't need to spend 35 million on Tell. To me, that's just a waste of funds. You know, we're not putting the funds in the right direction.
Yeah,
I have to say very quickly, because you've got this up. I went live on We Are Tottenham TV mid-evening my time, late evening, early hours England time. Simeon went on the best Levy out rant I've ever seen. Like literally, I could sit back and relax. Simeon channeled his inner Brian, as he said, or inner Daigle. And when we analysed the video and got to the end, I can't begin. I hope they have clipped it. I'm sure they will, and bring it out. If you get to see it, the Simeon's rant yesterday was of epic proportions and brilliant. Well worth a watch.
I've not seen it.
Jimmy
is just saying he'd like Eze, Paulinho, and Robertson. That's Robertson from Fulham, right? From what
I think there's talk about
Liverpool. That's Liverpool.
Really?
Yeah.
That's Liverpool. It's Robinson from Fulham.
Yeah,
so
but Robertson, there are rumours, not with Spurs, but rumours Robertson's leaving. Do you know what? Robertson or Robinson, I'll take either of them. I think we desperately need a left back.
Yeah.
Either of them, I'll take. Either of them.
Isn't Robertson a bit over the hill then, if it's Robertson of Liverpool? Isn't he a bit over the hill to be a Thomas Frank left back? I mean, we've already got Ben Davies there that's been a perennial player.
Today he's a left back. at left back, and if he's going to be rotate, I want to have it that Spurs have 2 left backs, 2 right backs, not Spence chopping, changing. If Andy Robertson came and was rotated with Destiny, if it was Robertson, and got to play every so often, you can use Robertson for Champions League experience, who's been there and then got further. Wait a minute, we've been asked for space for one more. And it's someone that let's bring him on. Bring him on.
Come on down.
Come on down. We're Flower Power is going to join us.
Oh,
Flower
great.
Power.
He's going to go on a rant about how much he loves Vicario and how if we get rid of Vicario, blah, blah, blah.
And you know what? After his antics, I will go fishing. I will go fishing.
But there's a few. I totally agree with Lubo. I totally agree with him. We've got too many youth players. Yes, I think we've got absolutely the right manager to look after these youth players. And I think that's the reason Thomas Frank has been brought in, because he does look at the youth players. And I think that's one of the reasons that Thomas Frank wanted this job, because I think he wants to develop these. I think Mikey Moore will be a star under Thomas Frank. I think he will give him the tools, and I think he will give him the keys of the kingdom. And we've seen him, but I think we will see that Mikey Moore will start to spread his wings, and we'll see it. But we've got Norwich's favourite plumber, Mr. Flower Power. Good to see you, James. What's happening, mate? Why do you want to come on?
Yeah, I was just having a bit of a shitty day at work, so I thought I'd join you guys, to be fair.
Norfolk's answer to Pimlico plumbers. Here we go.
I wish, mate.
Okay, Jimmy did mean Robinson from Fulham. James, what's your thoughts, first of all, before we get on to club stuff, fixture list?
I think we've got a good start. So it'd be good to get off to a good start. I think the fan base, more than anybody else, are probably going to demand a good start. I'm quite open to a slow and steady wins the race. I'm expecting a few speed bumps along the way. I think it's going to take Frank a little while to sort of get his formation and players playing where he wants them to play. But I think the fan base they've gone from Ange out to like Ange lover overnight. And I think the moment that he has a 3 or 4 game spell where he gets a couple of draws or a few losses, I think that they're going to turn. So I hope for the fans base that they win a few games to start off with.
I have to say, Mr. Flower, you're disappointed at one thing, aren't you? As it stands, we're not playing a game of football on your birthday. What are you going to do on your birthday on Boxing Day? You have to spend more time with the family.
What's that, mate?
You're going to have to spend more time with your family because we're not playing on Boxing Day as it speaks. On your birthday.
Nah, I'll go out on my own. I'm just gutted because it's one of those traditions in my family. It's almost like you have your Christmas, the next day you just eat all the leftover game. I mean, my birthday's once a year. I mean, how about you? Have you got over the last 4 or 5, or okay with the 4 that you've just had?
Behave. In case we start talking Vicario. Listen, that tradition is like every family. Obviously, you have your birthday on Boxing Day. It's a tradition that is that you know what it is. It is subject to change. That might become the 26th. You never know with TV. Who is it we got on Boxing? Let me just check. Who is it we would have had on the 27th? Palace away.
We're away, I believe. Is it Palace? Yeah. Maybe.
James. There's a big lag on your sign out and come back in. See if it sorts out the lag. All right.
Oh. Who have Norwich got?
Yeah, Palace away, isn't it?
You can go there, James.
Tricky game. Very tricky game.
Carrow Road. What about Carrow Road on Boxing Day?
2 seconds.
There he goes.
There he goes.
He'll come back.
Yes, I agree with you, Chris. Most people's birthdays are once a year.
Breaking news here. Breaking news here. I meant breaking news. No, I meant as in people's birthdays one day a year.
Yes. Bobby Kay will be in the UK from the 3rd of September till the 13th. So,
will he now? He's leaving the country. What a tourist! What a tourist! So what did he say? 3rd to the 13th. Who's he got?
Yes.
Oh, he's got no games at all, apart from the day he leaves, which is West Ham away.
Get a night flight.
He's got no games at all, apart from, unless there's Champions League, but that looks like an international break. That's an international break. So you can go watch England, Bobby brother.
Indeed.
Right, let's get on to it. Let's get on to the specialist subject.
Before that, but Kudos is in the chat saying, James, go and fix Lubo's boiler and feel free to quote him as high as you can. But I don't think Lubo's letting him anywhere near his boiler.
Yeah, so I spoke a lot about this yesterday, both on the fan show, or the call-in show, shall I say, and on We Are Tottenham TV. So let's get yours and Lubo's first breakdown on all things Vinay and Levy yesterday.
I thought it was a fairly decent video.
Oh, God,
I've not seen the video. I've heard about it.
You've not seen it?
I've not seen it. I've heard plenty about it. This is a video talking about the guy wants to win the Premier League and the Champions League.
Yep.
This is 2 days after he signed off a deal for Matthias Tell, who may be very good in a couple of years' time. I'm not doubting his ability, but he's really not what we need now. And to add to it, when the paperwork on the Kane deal, which includes Tell's money now, the money towards Tell, when all that is amended, we will be looking at 40 million plus Tell for Harry Kane. That is probably the worst transfer deal that I can remember Levy doing. You're talking about a young, untried kid for a world-class star and 40 million only. And 2 days later, he's talking about winning the league. He only gives a manager maximum 2 years. So what's he saying to Thomas Frank? You've got 24 months to win the Premier League. Seriously.
Okay, I do have a bit of news. I do have a bit of news very, very quickly. And I'm hoping this isn't permanent and only a loan in case I'm going to go nuts. 50 minutes ago from, I don't know if they're reputable source, Sheffield United are considering a swoop for Alfie Devine and Ashley Phillips. So I don't know. There's no talk of loan or permanent, but that best be a loan. That best be a loan, or there will be a explosive rant coming from me immediately. Sorry, and go back to what you were saying.
That was it. No, that was it. You know, Frank's been given 2 years to win the league because Levy never gives anybody any longer apart from Poch and Harry.
Yep.
Who knows? Maybe Frank will be the third manager to get a proper amount of time to build a team. But if that's the case, he's got 2 years to win the league and 3 years to win the Champions League. So I don't know. Maybe he's expecting the Champions League this year. Who knows? Who knows?
We're finishing 17th this year, Lubo, and winning the Champions League. We're doing it.
As I've said on one or two other shows, they obviously got Paul McKenna into Spurs just before the interview.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hypnotised Levy to being a proper, Daniel, you've got to become a proper football chairman. Let me put you under my spell. On its joking aside, I think Levy's just got a bit carried away with the interview with Vinay next to him. Maybe he's saying what he thinks a football chairman should be saying. Words are meaningless. Actions speak louder than words. Before you come out with comments like that, go and spend the money, back your manager, go and get some really top players in. Get some good players in, spend the required money, or if you can get a deal on the transfer, the required wages that these boys want. Then come back and say, once you've backed the manager and you've shown some commitment, then come back and say, I want to win the Premier League. But to actually do it, to tie up the Tell deal, 40 million plus Tell for Kane, and then 2 days later say I want to win the Premier League. I mean, who's going to get conned by that? I don't think anybody's going to don't think anybody's going to believe it for a second.
Ben, go on, you go. Then we'll get James's thoughts on.
I just don't know, really. For me, it's just a bit of rigmarole. I think it's a whole lot of pomp and circumstance for absolutely nothing. Until I start seeing signings come through the door, and I start seeing some substance. For me, it's just a PR exercise, just to say the bloke's arrived. Levy can say he wants to win the Premier League and the Champions League all he wants, but he's going to actually have to do it. If he wants to win the Champions League, he's going to have to spend some money, and we all know full well he doesn't do it. So he can say all he wants.
Ben, he expects Champions League football on a Conference League budget. This doesn't work.
He does. We don't even spend Conference League budget, Lubo, half the time.
Well, yeah.
So, yes, happy birthday to James Flower. Happy birthday to James Flower.
I wish.
No, it's your birthday. James, go on. Your thoughts on? Have you seen the video?
I have, yeah, I have. So
okay.
I know this is a Levy haters channel, but I kind of disagree a little bit of what Lubo just said. We don't even spend Conference League money. I disagree. He gave out 350 million. That's more than Conference League money, in my opinion. And I also think that everybody's kind of taking it out of proportion and blowing this whole big thing up. I think, of course, he wants to win the Champions League and Premier League, and that's all he said. He didn't say we are going to go win it. We're going to invest in it and push for it. He just said, I want to win it. And that's where we should be. So I think it's a double-edged sword. I think you can look at it either way. I think you can say, well, he's never done anything in the past to warrant that, and I completely agree. I personally think that Daniel Levy backed Ange. I think he could have done a little bit more, but I think he backed Ange. And with this season, we can only base on what we've seen. I think normally, we'll be linked with Dybala and then we'll get NG. So that is the sort of level of drop. Whereas this season it's been Eze. If we don't get Eze, it's Mbeumo. If we don't get Mbeumo, it's the guy from Bournemouth, Semenyo. So, and that for me is a big sign of hope. Hopefully, if we can't get our first target, our second target isn't 10 leagues below. It's there or thereabouts. So, again, I'm not saying that Daniel Levy is going to push us out to win the Champions League or the league. I don't believe he will. I've always said that, hence why I am Levy out. But I think that we at least need to give him the opportunity. It seems like there's a lot going on in the club that has been shaken up. So, like you guys are saying, the proof is in the pudding.
Damn right, Richard.
Why is he saying it then, Flower Power? Why is he coming out and saying, I want to win the Champions League?
Look, let me just come in here. Let me just come in and say one thing here. And I'm going to say, James, you're right. Levy's has given him money, but it's been spent. Why is our weight? It's been spent on players that won't demand high wages to improve the team. That's can't get away from it. What I will say, and I've said this all yesterday, and I'm going to stick to it. Those words that you heard yesterday haven't been from Paratici, haven't been from Frank, haven't been from club sources, haven't been from people like Alistair Gold, haven't been from TalkSport, haven't been big accounts or aggregators or people with clout. Those words left Daniel Levy's lips. When he said, I want to win the next step, the Premier League, Champions League, funnily enough, you have a huge say, Mr. Levy, in being able to facilitate a team able to compete for those. Now, you've got 2 and a bit months now of this window left. If that is the next step, this window, we expect players that will be able to compete. And you say, do you know what? Those players can compete for these honours. Now, not go and get just youth players or one first team player, because we need more. So you've got this window to show that you're not just words this time. You're going to act, And if you have a blinding window, this window, and it is the one where, let's just say, Eze, Paulinho, Robinson, as we were talking about before, coming to this football club, first thing I'll do is absolutely bang on, Daniel. You got the job done. This is more like it. But he's come out with his own words and said these. These can't be taken out of any context or say, well, no, Levy didn't say that. Where did he say it? Who said it? What? He has said it. So this window, he mentioned the 30 extra events, non-football events that are going on. He used that old lovely line that he likes with every single penny goes back into the team. Well, let's see it this window. Your words, not your word.
Well,
his words, not mine, not Lubo's. Not
the only thing I would disagree with, mate, and I agree with all of it. The only thing I disagree with is you're saying about they're all players that come on because they agreed small wages. I don't think that's 100% fair, because there has been some big players come in who Ange wanted, Van der Ven's, Vicarios, Madison's. They are big name players that have come in. If they agree to lesser wages, then they agree to lesser wages. It's not Daniel Levy's.
James, I know you're love for Vicario, but do you see these players that you just spoke about, Van der Ven, Vicario? We hardly knew of them unless you watch Italian and Dutch football before they came in, and they've turned out to be very good signings. No qualms. But
they're not Angie signings, Brian. They're not Angie signings.
Van der Ven was. Van der Ven was.
Van der Ven was. Vicario wasn't. Yeah. It started with Van der Ven and Madison were his first two signings, and everybody after that. Yeah. Correct.
But this is the thing. These players, the Vicarios, the Destinies that are going on to be good, they weren't, when we bought them, they're like, oh, yes, this is like, put it this way, when we sign Van der Ven or Vicario, it will be nowhere near the buzz or the, oh, my God, this is it, if we signed an Eze.
Sure.
If we signed an Eze, James, this is the thing.
That's not Levy's fault, is it?
Well, no, but I'm saying when we've been linked with players, when we've gone with players, if you look at that wage bill, we paid 65 for Solanke, and we're paying him under 100 grand a week. An extra 15 million gets you in the table with Gyökeres, or could have got you a bigger striker and paid the bigger. And we don't do it. We won't do it. We won't do it.
I think that's really unfair. I think that's and listen, I want Levy out, but I think that's really unfair because Ange wanted Solanke. Everybody said Solanke's the perfect striker for Ange's system. So we're going to bash Levy for signing a player that Ange wanted. It's not his fault that he only accepted 100 grand a week. It's not Levy's. Is Levy meant to go, you know what, I'll give you 300 just because? So, I think if Ange wanted Brennan Johnson, Ange wanted Solanke, Ange wanted Van der Ven, all of these players that Ange wanted, you can't blame Levy for buying the players that Ange wanted. In my opinion, I agree with a lot of the stuff you're saying, and I do agree that he should be pushing the boat out. But if he was offered Eze, which he was, and Ange said, no, I want Brennan Johnson, we can't bash Daniel Levy and say, well, you should have signed Eze, and then we say, well, you need to start backing the manager. That's my opinion.
I'll say one thing, James, and I'm going to let other people talk with this. I'm a huge fan of Solanke. I'm a huge fan of Solanke. But when we signed him, like we did with Soldado, like we did with Rebrov, we bought in a player that his bread and butter is thriving off aerial ability. He had the most goals in the Premier League the season before we signed him. Thrives on crosses. And then we bring in a player like him, and we don't get a winger that can cross a fucking football. Rather, we go for people.
But that's not Levy's fault. That's Ange's fault. That's Ange's fault.
Well, no, because there was ready to go for it. No, listen, I agree with you on that part, but I'm only using the last window. If you want to go back in time, and all the time that I've been Levy out, and look at the players that we could have had.
No, I agree, but I'm saying I believe Levy, whether Levy has changed enough is not the question. I don't think he has. But for Levy to come out, back a manager, the whole fan base was Ange out, and he come out and bought him. He was offered Eze. He said, no, I want Brennan Johnson. So he said no to Eze and bought Brennan Johnson. There is not much more an owner can do. We linked with the Gyökeres and we said, no, we'll buy you Solanke. You want Solanke. So in my opinion, he's been given 4 to 5 players that he wanted, and they've all flopped. We can't then bash Daniel Levy for that. We need to bash Ange for that.
I'm 50-50 with that, but I'm going to let the other two speak now.
I don't want to bring Ange's name. I'm what's it called? Of course, my other half is now in the blue corner. So of course it's the blue and the red corner.
But would you say, Ben, would you say that is Levy's fault for not spending big wages, or is it a perk from Levy for backing Ange and buying the players that he asked for? We can't bash him and say you didn't pay top wages because you bought the players that Ange wanted. That's how I mean.
You're just using Ange. I can go on to Poch. I can go on to Conte. I can go.
I agree, but we can talk sort of like recently. Has he changed? We don't know, but the proof is in the pudding. And the last 2 years, he's backed his manager. Even when we was all screaming for him to go, he stuck with him and won the Europa League when all of us would have said sack him before it. So
it goes back. Yeah. It's the final. It is the final thing I am to say, because I'm going to let Lubo speak, because Lubo will be busting a gut to speak on this. The one thing I will say is, like I said at the beginning of this, you've come out and said you want the league, you won the Champions League. You've got 2 months. Just over 2 months to show that it's not just words, it's actions. And if he acts, I will be the first to come on and say, well done, and praise him. But if he doesn't, it's his words, and he will be held accountable. But Lubo, you go, buddy.
Would you just look at the players City are buying? You know, they bought Cherky, they bought the fullback from Wolves. There's several. They've spent nearly 300 million since January on good players. So, you know, we've got to keep up with these teams. Liverpool go and spend 116 million on Florian Wirtz. Now, people would turn around and say, well, they're probably overpaid. But for a fan on the street going to watch a game, you're watching Wirtz in midfield and he's pulling strings and he's won you the game. You've enjoyed that afternoon as a fan. You don't give a damn what the clubs pay for the player. All you want is for the owners to show intent, to want to be competitive, to want to compete. That's all I want. That's all I want from Levy. There's no guarantee we're going to win a trophy. Just make an effort. Give something back to the fans. You know, show commitment to the football side. This isn't just a money profit making exercise. You know, there are millions of fans worldwide that support this team. There are 60,000 that pack the ground out every other week. These guys deserve something. If you're going to charge big, high seat prices, put the players in front of you that warrant those prices. You know, you go into a Michelin style restaurant, you don't mind paying top money. You know you're going to get top food.
Yeah,
he's not giving us top players. You compare this squad to what Poch had 6 years ago, 8 years ago. That team, the last year at the Lane, the team that played last season, it's not a patch. There's not one player in that team. Not one. Take Sonny out. See, you know, he's the link. Of the other 10, there's not one player that will get into that team. And I like Romero and Van der Ven, but Toby and Jan, for me, were a phenomenal partnership.
I think it's hard to say because of what we've just watched under the coaching and manager we've just watched. So where I will give, I mean, for me, I haven't seen nowhere near enough from Dominic Solanke to warrant the 60 plus million pound or whatever it was. But what I said the whole way through is I will judge him this season now, because you can't go from Ange and then to a good coach and then still flop. And I saw someone there said he spent 150 million on 3 players. So have we. Johnson, Van der Ven, Solanke. We've done the same thing. They've just been terrible. So
15 million over because Brentford had agreed a fee for 34 million and we bid like 15 million over the odds for that.
For Johnson.
So
47.5 we paid
over the odds for Brennan Johnson, and at the end of the day, you've got to call it as it is. It worked out because that 15 million over budget has now got us 90 million pounds this year for playing in the Champions League. Yeah. It was a risk, but it came true because he scored the goal in the final that won us a cup and got us back into the Champions League. So it was It was it. I totally agree with Lubo's sentiment. I think with my own eyes as a season ticket holder, I only saw us win. I don't even think I saw us win 7 games this year. How many games? We won 6 games at home, and we won 1. So I've won in the and what was it? 6 games at home, 3 in. So me and Lubo probably saw us win at home 10 games of football. And I'm including the final in that because it's neutral ground. It's not a home game. We can't have that as Spurs fans. We can't have that.
I agree. Completely agree.
It sounds really, really, really like defeatist. I just want to see us win games of football this year and enjoy going to football matches.
Yeah.
I want to see us win football matches.
You know what, Ben? We won more in the cups. We played 9 games at home. In the I'm just trying to think. FA Cup was Tamworth, and then we lost at home to City.
Yes.
No, we went out to Villa away.
No, we beat City.
Villa away. So we played 9 games at home in the two cups, the League Cup and the Europa. We won 8 and drew Roma, and in the league we won 6, drew
19,
drew 3 and lost 10 out of 19.
Yeah. I will say as well, which Kevin just brought, going back to Solanke because we brought him up. When you watch, there's a video that's up on our link, how Frank likes to attack. One of the main things is he always has 3 men in the box when they're about to deliver across, and one of them is always their centre forward, which is the one thing we needed Dominic Solanke to do. Do I think he's the be-all and end-all? No. Do I think in this system, just like I think with Johnson, Porro, I think you see a different Maddison. There's so many players I think you see different, and I think Solanke has a much better, like his last season at Bournemouth, more closer to that than closer to what he had last season at Spurs, because we played differently. But you look at it, if Richarlison goes, Spurs need another high-quality striker. Solanke needs competition, and this is what I'm saying, James. Let's see what happens. Because I can say right here, right now, if I had to have my view and say, right, do I think Daniel Levy is going to smash the wage structure? Do I think players of a higher, like, that come in and just like, you are the star guy, this is Champions League kind of player? Do I think they're coming? No, I don't. Do I think we're signed good players and very good? Yeah. But do I think this will be a window that will emphasise things are changing? Not really. I really hope I'm wrong. I've just been in this game too long and seen what happens. Go on, James.
So from my point of view, and I know this is probably going to sound really stupid, but I'm just so sick and tired of being negative and hearing negativity that I don't think anything's going to work, to be honest, with our Spurs fans. I think all Spurs fans are so caught up with blaming everybody. I'm right, you're wrong.
I agree with that.
This. I think they're all so far gone that it's more to them to say they were right than it is for us to win a game. And I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying I think a vast majority of them would rather be right than us be successful. And what I would say is, let's just see. Daniel Levy's already got the noose around his neck.
Correct.
He's already done that. It's been like that for 20 years. Let's see him jump like that. That's the only difference in the last couple of years. The Van der Vens, the Maddisons, the Solankes, the Richarlisons, the Johnsons, the Romeros. They're all big money, Porro, big money players. So we have signed them. I just think let's see what happens and look forward to the season before starting the season onto a negative. I would rather start it off into a positive because I believe the fans could be a 12th man, and when they're all broken and fragmented, I believe that we're down to 10 men, not 12.
No, with Thomas Frank, I'm delighted. On the pitch, I'm over the moon now. I'm going to be as happy and as positive as possible because I've got someone there that I've wanted for a long time, that I have trust and faith in, that will do the things we need on the pitch. And I will be extremely positive about everything on the pitch. That doesn't mean I change my stance at board level. I need to see things change. I understand where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from. My view on how I'm looking at the on the pitch stuff right now completely fucking different to last season and many other seasons. The board, action speak louder than words. That's the tagline.
Of course. And even there, the comment, James, we finished 17th. Do I not know that? Did I not watch every game the same as everybody else? I think we've got rid of the main culprit. I think anybody else, if we kept exactly this team going into the season, I believe we finished top half. I'm not saying that's good enough, but it is what it is. And I just think that sometimes there's a reason to bash a manager or owner, regardless of what happens. That people are going to be bashing them. Like I've seen people say, why haven't we signed anyone yet? We're falling behind, blah, blah, blah. Well, Thomas Frank is still on holiday. So do you want us to keep signing players while the coach and manager's not even there yet? Like, surely we want our manager to come back and sit down and go, right, this is where I want to go, X, Y, Z, and then sign the players that he wants. So it's a two-edged sword. I just think if you're looking for a negative, you'll always find a negative. If you're looking for a positive, you'll always find a positive. So for me, I'm in the middle. I think I want Frank to succeed. I want Frank to pick his players. I want Frank to get his system going. Therefore, Frank needs to be in the building before any decisions are being made. So I think that was done on the interview process. I think it was like, look, we've got an obligation to buy him if he wants. What are your thoughts? I reckon he probably went, look, I see someone there. I believe I can work with him. I think I can make it better. And then they probably went, okay, we'll sign him. Everybody else, I think that there's got to be, there's got to be a bit of reasoning in. Let's wait for Frank to get in the building and do an interview and tell us what he wants and sees before we start bashing Levy for the sake of bashing Levy. Like, I'm more here to bash Levy. I think he's flopped for the last 25 years. One trophy in the last 17 years isn't good enough. But this is a new season, a new coach. I'm not forgetting what else has gone on, but I'm looking forward to what's going to happen. Let's see what happens.
Sure.
I can understand that. But like I said to you, it's very. I'll never take my foot off the pedal when it comes to this subject, just because, like you said, I'm not prepared to go, okay, here we go. This is different. Let's relax this time, just to be in the same place that we are.
But me and you have spoken before, time and time again, and we've always said we're big enough to criticise and we're big enough to praise. So there's been numerous of times. I mean, you said if he comes out and have a good window, you'll praise him. Do you believe we've had a good couple of last windows over Ange? Do you think Ange was back? Do you think Ange had a good... You don't?
I think the windows have been shambolic. I think he's been bad financially. I think the recruitment has been shambolic. And that's recruitment as well.
Is that Levy's fault? That's what I was going to say. Is that Levy's fault?
It's everyone's fault.
It's everyone.
I'll tell you where it's Levy's fault. James, I'll tell you where it's Levy's fault. If you are going to put a cap on wages, then you are limiting the manager to a certain type, a certain level of players and a certain amount of players. You're going to cut back on your choice. So if you're looking to, I mean, aside from Werner, I mean, what a terrible, terrible waste of £13 million of wages over 18 months. I mean, that's just appalling wasting money. You hear about councils throwing millions and millions down the drain. You don't expect someone like Levy to throw 13 million. I mean, you might as well just flush it down the toilet. Seriously, that was a most horrendous, neglectful waste of money. Then he's gone and got involved. Then he's gone and got involved in this scenario with Tel, where we've ended up spending 45 million euros, 39 million pounds, on a player, 19-year-old, completely unproven. Completely, yeah. He was a reserve at Bayern Munich. He didn't, and the thing is that he hasn't pulled up any trees at Spurs while he's been here, and it's all on the possible. Possibly, maybe, he could be, and that's Spurs haven't got hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds to spend on players. They still owe.
I'm going to add very quickly. There's an update floating around now on Mbuemo, which is we have now called off, or called as in, not called off as in phone called as in whether our interest in Mbuemo, which means it's which is listen. He listened, which means this isn't a bad thing on the club. The club moved too late, and the guy wanted to go to Manchester United. That's nothing against Levy. That's nothing against what's going on. We've just been too late to this race, and this guy has said he wants United. So that's like all the hope that I had that it could have got done. Wasn't the fact I wanted it that Frank could try and win him over, but I think we entered the race way too late because obviously Frank weren't even appointed. So that's nothing on the club. Listen, I said when I wanted Vlahovic, the window when we got Kulusevski and Bentancur when we were rumoured to him, his wages were rumoured to be 300 grand a week that he wanted, and I was like, go fuck yourself. You don't come in, Kane. You don't do that. So I understand this one not going ahead. This is nothing on the club. The guy wants Man United.
No, listen, that's fair enough. But if you want to pull somebody away from Man United, you don't go and offer him 80 grand less than United have offered a week.
Is that as well?
Yeah, but also with what Ian was saying there about wasting money on Timo Werner and Tell, I'm sorry, but you can't pick and choose. Archie Gray has to go in that list as well.
I disagree. Gray is a great prospect.
Oh, he's poked the bear.
No, but you cannot say that Tell.
I'll be back in 1 second.
You cannot say that Tell is a waste of money and Gray wasn't, because so far, as of now, Gray has done absolutely nothing to warrant a £40 million.
Disagree.
You think he's worth 40 million? You've seen enough for 40 million?
No. I don't think he's worth 40 million. He should have been bought for 20. But it wasn't a straight negotiation where a club Club A rings Club B and says, right, we'd like to buy so-and-so, what's your price? The price was already set by Brentford, who were going to pay 40 million for Gray. So if we wanted him, we had to match that price. That wasn't a question that they said they just plucked 40 million out, or they said, if Brentford weren't involved, I'm sure we'd have probably bought Gray for substantially cheaper. I don't think he's worth 40 million. I don't think any 18-year-old, unless you're Lamine Yamal, you're not you should be paying that money, James.
No, but I never said he's worth. Yeah, that's what I'm so Archie Gray was a waste of 40 million. Archie Gray for me is a 15-20 million pound player maximum, same as Tell, maximum, both of them. We can't slate Daniel Levy for spending 30 million or 40 million on Tell and then not slate him for doing Archie Gray. It has to be handled both in the same.
But do you not think we've had a shocking league season? We've got a really unbalanced.
That's a very good point.
We've got a really unbalanced squad. We've got 7 or 8 centre backs. We've got 9 or 10 wingers already, James. We had 7 goalkeepers. Now we've got 5 with Forster and Whiteman going. We've got no cover really at left back. Spence is a right back. Let's be honest about it. As Brian said before, you can't have Spence going from right to left and back again. You need cover in both. You need not only do you need cover for Udogie, you need cover for Mickey as well. So we hardly got anything up front. You need, Liverpool got 5. Liverpool got Salah, Jota, Nunes, Diaz, and who's the other one? There's one more I'm missing. We got Solanke, and we got Richie. Richie's barely fit half the time.
Yeah.
So you left with Slade. Lancashire is a kid, unproven. Scarlett hasn't really cut it. So we're short of at least one quality centre forward. We're short of wingers, a top quality winger, which is when Bremo would have been great. Go and get Semenya.
That's a
above,
different argument.
I will say,
we've got, James.
I will say, I'm going to add something to your argument, Ian, and I saw it. Where is it? And I actually forgotten about this as well. Where has it gone?
You're talking about the Joe Roden thing, because when it was 40 million for Gray, but part of the same
15.
deal, they paid 15 million for
Roden.
Just like we did with Madison and Winks and other services.
It was. But Brian, it was. it is 40 million because at the end of the day, Leeds are going to get 40 million, aren't they? They've got Rodon valued at 15 and 25. So it is it's a bit like Gill. We got Gill for 40, but it wasn't 40. We paid 20 million plus the Miller went and he was valued at 20. So it's.
My point, obviously, that whole debate was you slated us for signing the likes of Tell, but then praised Archie Gray when they're exactly the same thing, different positions. Archie Gray, every time he's played centre midfield, he's been absolutely shocking. Whether that's because he's played away at Liverpool or I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at him in midfield. Yeah, all the system, yeah. But we can only judge both in the same system. Gray has been shocking. Tell has been shocking.
We can't then not been shocking, James.
You know what? I'm going to add to
that. Gray has played midfield. What I said, every time he's been in midfield, he's been shocking. Every time he's played right back, he's been absolutely skinned for pace at least 2-3 times a game. So, and look, I think Gray could be a good player. I think he could be a good player. He's not a right back. He's not a centre back. So far, every time he's played centre midfield, he's been rubbish.
Okay, but again, that's play. So either way you look at it, the team wasn't strong enough. And I'm going to use all the North Americans in here will understand the phrase I'm going to use. And I've used it before. A great friend of mine from Seattle Spurs, John, said it to me. And I'm going to use Liverpool as the example in it. They always say you're either rebuilding or you're reloading. And what they mean by that is we're constantly rebuilding. I'll give you the prime example of Liverpool with reloading. They had Salah, Mane, and Firmino, which was one of the most devastating trios in the league. And whilst they had them, they brought in Jota, they brought in Diaz, they reloaded and started bringing in players that were not obviously at the level of Salah, but they were of a high level that can step in immediately. No youngsters or whatever that will grow into it. And I don't mind signing. And even when Liverpool do sign youngsters like Harvey Elliott or whoever, they supplement it with stars, which we don't do. That's the thing. Liverpool reload. When they're at their strength and they're like, my God, this strike force, yes, it was coming nearer to the end, but what they did is like, right, we need to be able to rotate these guys. And they reloaded and brought in genuine quality. You saw Jota, you saw Diaz, Nunes, like the players Ian was mentioning. Every single one of Liverpool's players, and I include Nunes in that, in Liverpool's front line, gets into our style immediately. Obviously, they're champions. It's easy to choose Liverpool. Not one of our forward line get into Liverpool. Not one of them. But that's because Tottenham are always rebuilding. We are... When was the last time, apart from Lloris Victoria?
We can't reload, Ahi, realistically.
Yes, you can. Thank you, Jimmy.
We can't this year because we finished 17th. Yes, we won the Europa League.
Of course we can.
Because
Champions League football.
Reloading would be trying to win the Europa League again, and we can't physically do that.
Champions League. This is what Champions League football is meant to provide you, to bring these players in. We should be now bringing in... We were told we need Champions League football to bring in Champions League revenue, to pay Champions League wages, and then we need the stadium to do what it does. Again, Levy's word, the 30 non-footballing events. It's all there. So other teams reload. Tottenham are always rebuilding.
Well, that's what that's rebuild because our players aren't good enough because they finished 17th.
Well, no, again, like I said, that's the thing. We have had so many occasions.
Of course, I agree with you on that. I'm talking about this particular season. This particular season, we can't reload because we finished 17th.
Well, we can.
I agree with Ben. Yeah,
you've got to rebuild because the team are so bad that they finished 17th. The highest amount of losses without being relegated in the history of the Premier League.
When we're talking to players,
there's no rebuilding. There's no reloading.
When we're talking to players, whoever they may be, XYZ, I'm not going to bring up players' names. Do they think, last season when I wasn't there, they finished 17th, they're going to do that again with a brand new manager? Or are they going to say, I wanted to play Champions League football. Champions League football is the pinnacle of European football, and Tottenham can offer me that.
Sure. But Ben and James, where do you think, if Frank had been in charge last season, Where do you think we'd have finished?
Minimum top 9.
That's obviously hard to say, but yeah, I would have said top 9.
So the squad's not that bad, is it? It's not that bad.
No, but I think there's a big gap from Fulham to City and Liverpool, though. It's not a matter of reloading and bringing 2 good players in. You're talking 6 players. For me, if you want to be winning the league, you need a 6, you need an 8, you need a whole new front 3.
Yeah.
You need cover at the back. So you're not talking of. This is where I think maybe what Ben was probably saying about not reloading is rebuilding. I would say a reload is topping up what you've already got ammunition wise. At the moment, I think we're firing rubber bullets. So we need to get real ammunition first, and then you build or reload on top of that. For me, this front 3 as it is, Solanke, I'm open-minded. I want to see what happens. Johnson, for me, just physically doesn't do enough. He doesn't do enough running.
Johnson won't be playing on the wing this season. Johnson will not be a winger this season.
Yeah, maybe not. So again, if we take him out, you've got Odegaard. You need 3 front in the front line. Bergvall is great from what we've seen. Is he good enough to be starting week in and week out in the Champions League? For me, no. Maddison has hot and cold periods. No, not yet. Yeah, Maddison has hot and cold periods. We need a number 6. Romero's head's been turned, so we need another centre back. I personally wouldn't bother with a centre back. I would use Dan Sarr. I think he's been nothing short of maybe even one of the players of the season for me this season. So I would say it is a rebuild because I want half of a new squad.
Well, you know that's not going to happen.
If we're going to compete in the Champions League and the league. No,
James,
but that's where I would say it's not a reload, it's a rebuild because we need 5-6 players minimum.
But hang on, James, you're talking about the first team, not the squad, aren't you?
I'm sick of talking about the squad, to be honest. I'm sick of talking about the squad. We've got enough squad players to fill the Premier League, not the Tottenham team. We've got 11 wingers, and not one of them has showed us an ounce of anything. And I include Son in that. Okay, one of the greatest wingers I've seen in my lifetime at Tottenham. The last 2 years, numbers have been good, but he's been rubbish. Actually, on the pitch, he's been nothing short of rubbish. So there's 11 wingers that need to be shot of. So I'm not interested in the squad anymore. We have a squad. I want to. No, you can't. But I want to see Tell and Johnson or Odegaard. They're my backups that you could get away with playing 3 or 4 games in a row. I now want to see an Mbeumo, a Semedo, an Eze. I want to see players like this come in. The guy from PSV on the Bakayoko. I want to see players like that come in and actually be right, you're my first 11. These guys fight for it. You know, we need a squad. Solomon, fight for it. What can you do? Show us.
Then that goes back to Spurs having to pay the wages.
See, that's the problem. The problem is,
he was offered. Eze was offered to Ange, and Ange said no.
I don't think from what Palace was saying as well, there wasn't a solitary bid made. It was all interest and whatever. Nothing was ever
interest. Ange didn't want him from day one. Brian, he didn't want him from day one, Ange. There was no interest at all. And in fact,
because realistically, bids aren't a thing in football anymore, are they? You know the terms of the deal, and you get it. It's not like it's an It's not like it's like in an auction house where you've got all the football clubs in the room, and you got that auctioneer doing that silly auctioneer voice. It's not like that. You know the terms of the deal before that. You know if the manager wants him, and then you say we'll have him. There you go. Here's the contract. Here's the term. It's not that. It's not that. It's not an auctioneer. If he didn't want him, he didn't want him. It's not like the club put I think it's almost a silly thing to say that club bids for players. If there are 2 clubs interested, of course they can up their offer. They can up their offers, but it's not like, I wish it was like an auction house. I think that'd be great television if they had transfers like that. I think the world of football would be get the guy from Storage Wars in place. Dave Hester for football transfers. Bring it back. Bring back Storage Wars.
Just make a list of the players that can play on the wing. Gill, I'm just saying players that are contracted to the club now. Gill, Richie, Odegaard, Son, Moore, Donnelly, Solomon, Johnson, Kulu. I'm sure there's possibly one or two I've even missed as well.
So you think of the club at one point, you say, wait a minute, we've got too many of this.
Sure.
And this is the problem. The other problem we have with it is you see other clubs, and do you know what? And I've said this before when it comes to Tel. I'm not talking about whether I think Vincent Company came in, Bayern, the previous manager, liked him. He came in, saw him for 6 months, and was like, no, he's not for me, send him out on loan. And immediately when he's come back, he's not for me, get him out of my squad, when he can command a decent fee for him. Whether it turns out to be a good fee for Tottenham Hotspur or a good deal for Tottenham Hotspur, we'll find out. We will find out. But they sell their players. Like Manchester City did with Cole Palmer. Like Manchester City did with Cole Palmer. Forget how well he's turned out. They could get £42.5 million for him. Pep didn't see avenue for him to get into the squad. He's like, Joe, I'll take £42.5 million for him. Obviously, I bet he regrets it or could have found a way into the team now. But big teams, when they see that a player's not fit for purpose or not suited for the manager, okay, let's get a decent value for you. Out you go. Frees up space in the squad. Gives more potential funds to whatever the manager is to invest in what he wants. Look at the list of wingers we have at this football club. And none of them, if you look at that list, will any of them command a fee of good? I mean, Son, if he does go, will get 40 mil or whatever it may be. But all those other wingers, not one of them could we command the fee to go, there you go, manager, X, Y, and Z.
No, you get money. You get money for Kulu. You probably get 50 or 20.
Considering more inside, but yeah, all right.
Okay.
Kulu, all right, Kulu.
Solomon, you probably get 15 or 20. But I think the point also you're making, Brian, is you look at Chelsea. They got 40 million for Gallagher. They got 30 plus for Tammy Abrahams. They got 30 million for Tamori. You know, these are big amounts for players that have come through the academy. There's 100 million for those three already. So,
but could that be because our fans overhype our actual players and no one generally wants to buy our players because they're not as good as people say? I've seen a few comments saying no, but if our fans are rating them highly and then no one wants to buy them, there's got to be a bit of rose-tinted glasses there, in my opinion. And by that I mean there's so many players that we say could become good. The words could become good. I've seen a lot of people say, what do you think Frank would do if he had Brennan Johnson and so and so? Well, that's all well and good, but at the end of the season, I don't want to hear you blaming Frank then when Johnson's still rubbish, or Tell is still rubbish, or no, I'm not saying you will. I'm just saying in the comments, people are saying, well, what do you think he would do? I saw one of the comments saying, look what Frank did with Mbeumo. Yeah, okay, but Mbeumo is still a good football player. Like, I haven't seen anything from any of these guys to go, yeah, you're still a good football player. You're going to be developed higher. So for me, I think that our fans overhype a lot of our players. Therefore, we value them at 10, 15 million. When they're offered to other clubs, they're like, no chance, mate. And they don't buy them. They let them run them down the contract, they get them for free. There's a reason for that.
Goes back again to bad recruitment. That goes back to, forget what the fans think and say, oh, he's worth X, Y, Z. Again, it shows that it comes to back. And rather than getting rid of them when we can, it's like do stuff, make these players better. We keep dragging them on. Rather than saying, you know, you're done, you're not part of my plans, we're going to get a fee for you, off you go. We just keep them. We just stockpile them. Like I said, we literally, I just call them, they're just there to be exactly what it is, squad numbers. They're there to make up the numbers.
Yeah, the recruitment teams who look at our players aren't worried about what our fans think.
Yeah.
They could be they go there with professional eyes and they check them out. They're not interested in what any fans think, to be honest. Fans are specialists in their own areas. These guys are specialists in the football area. So what we think is irrelevant.
Let's now speak about A-Root. This is going to be the last thing of the show. We're going to finish up in about 5 minutes. Let's talk about a transfer rumor that's now running the transfer mill. Let's talk about Mohamed Kudus of West Ham. There is rumours that Spurs are going to be putting in a bid for him, and I think that is the backup because they play in the same position because Mbeumo is a right winger. We'll start with Lubo. Do you think I
was out for dinner with a close friend 2 nights ago who's a massive West Ham fan. Can't wait to see the back of Kudus. Shocking attitude. No effort. He said he's been a disaster this season just gone. Wants him out the club as fast as possible.
Can't doubt the talent of the guy, though, can you, Lubo? Yeah. You can't. But does this make sense of a transfer? We'll go to James now. What's your thinks on the potential Mohamed Kudus bid?
I think he's an absolute baller, to be honest. Absolute baller. And like what I said at the start when I come on, we're now being linked with Mbeumo. We don't get him, we go for Kudus. Like, I like the sound of this. I feel like we're acting like a bigger club. What Lubo said there about can't wait to get him out of the club, I agree. But then we could say the same for Romero. We could say the same for a few of our players that have had attitudes that stunk and done nothing all season. So I think when everything's flying high, you'll get a lot more out of someone like that. So hopefully someone like Frank could get him on side, could train him, coach him. And then I think rather than getting 4 out of 10s every week, you could get a 7 out of 10 every week. If you get a 7 out of 10 of Kudus, the guy's got talent. Real talent.
Listen, there's no doubting he's got talent, but if his head's not right, James. If his attitude stinks, you got another Ndombele. Who wants that?
Agreed, but he is also playing at West Ham. Yeah.
I will say he's done it in the Premier League at West Ham. He's a terrific player. I will say to Potato Shoe, West Ham, you look at it, Defoe, Carrick, Canute, we've taken from West Ham, it's not like Chelsea where there is like complete bad blood on both parts. West Ham we have done business with on a few occasions. Kudus is a player, if Romero was to go, you need some kind of player with that kind of attitude and bite in him. That would be a great signing, in my opinion. A fantastic signing. Well, I agree with you, Ian, about actually, like we had it with Dele Alli, didn't we? I mean, obviously, later on down the line, it became a lot more apparent what was behind it. But sometimes you need players with this attitude. He's always performed against us. He's always got a goal against us. Well, you can say it with a lot of players, but I think that is the kind of player you say, okay, now you're talking. Obviously, you can look better, you can look heavier, but he is a menace. He is a menace on his day. And if Thomas Frank can coach him, develop him, I would love it. And I will say there has been a bite the bullet was the buzzword used for Daniel Levy's bite the bullet for Mohamed Kudus.
To me, he's a luxury player and won't be worth the money that
you know what?
To be honest,
you say that word. If you look at it, is he that player I've spoken about? You spoke about. A lot of us speak about it. The Gazners, the Ginolas, the Bales, the Van der Vaarts. That player that gets you off your seat when you think, okay, he's a bit of a maverick, he can do something. Would you put Kudus in that bracket? But when he puts on the ball,
poor man's
not with those guys, but
no,
not in the. But I'm saying one of those kind of players that you'd be excited when he gets the ball, that you don't exactly know what he's going to do.
Yeah. He's definitely a player that can make something out of. He's definitely a player that can make something out of nothing, isn't he? He can do that.
Yeah.
So in that respect, absolutely, yeah. I just think, I think West Ham have had the same sort of season as us, up and down, swapping managers, turmoil. Get him out, get him into a well-run environment. Hopefully, that's what we're going to see from Spurs. Hopefully, I think you could see a new him.
Yeah, I mean, what could Audio's just put? Not audio there with him going. What Lynn's put. It could be potentially like another Adebayor.
Yeah.
Where when he wants to play, he'll turn up and bash it. But I don't think that would happen at Spurs. But what do I know?
Can can I add one more thing to that as well? I know you want to wrap up, guys. Mbuemo was exactly the same. He was so good and then absolutely terrible until last season under Frank. And then he was consistent. If you go back before that, he was one goal every couple of games here, turn it on there. He was rubbish. And then Frank got into it. Everyone was saying the guy could finish could finish for nothing. Under Frank, he changed that, worked with that, and now he's scoring goals for fun. So
I will say as well with those seasons beforehand, James, whereas you may have a point, during that time they had Ivan Toney before his ban and everything. So their main man wasn't Mbuemo. Once Toney left and Mbuemo took over the reins, and one season of it, and boy, did he do well.
Indeed. But thank you all so much for watching. It's been a very good conversation, and we try not to have an echo chamber here on the Kauffie Co and on Tottenham on Tour.
Yeah.
And you've had a ding 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 moment with Lubo versus Flower, and hopefully we can get these two to have a fight over Archie Gray and Vicario again, because it always makes me laugh. I just wish I had.
No, I'm pro Vicario.
Ian's a pro Vicario. I saw him sticking up for him yesterday, so Ian has my respect. He can slay anybody else.
You've got to be the opposite. You've got to wind him up. You've got to wind him up. But
not
we
with
are
Vicario.
going to wrap up there. We will be back tomorrow on the Kauffie Company at 2 p.m. and we will be back on Tottenham on Tour on Friday. But
Correct.
Flower Power, when can we next find you on the show?
Whenever I'm allowed on. I've just been busy, to be honest, with work.
After your performance today, I'm going to hold an internal review. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Lubo,
it won't be tomorrow. Tomorrow is. Oh, sorry.
No, go Flower.
Yeah, it won't be tomorrow. Tomorrow is my wife and son's birthday, so tomorrow's a no-go.
Congratulations! Oh, is it their birthday?
Yeah, well, I'm a bit. Yeah, both of them on the same day. Yeah, but it's weird.
Well. And it's your birthday.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Thank you.
You're welcome. But it's weird because my son's gone away with a school trip for 3 days, so it's his birthday, but we don't get to see him for the first year. So it's a bit like a soppy dad moment. But you're like, oh, I'm going to miss him. Like we planned a day around him when it's his birthday, and now he's not here. I'm going to have to try and please the missus.
Does that mean he's going to get a 4-day birthday?
Pretty much, yeah, probably.
Okay.
I know someone else to add that. Do you?
Good stuff. And Lubo, when can we next find you on the airways of YouTube? You are now a very busy man. You're there, here, there, and everywhere.
Genuinely, nothing plans for 8 days at the moment. Nothing booked. Nothing in the diary. I'm sure hopefully something will come up, but nothing booked at all.
Okay, Ian saying he's got nothing planned for 8 days. Expect him on a show this evening. Without fail, or tomorrow at the latest. Lubo, it's been great having you back on the channel, buddy. It's been great
being back on. Love being back on with you guys. My ancestral home.
Exactly.
Thank you all so much for watching. We are going to be.
I think it's Flowers' ancestral home as well.
Yeah, it is. It is.
There you go.
With trendsetters. But we will be redirecting to the boys over at We Are Tottenham TV right now. So go and say hello to those boys over there. We absolutely love those two over there. Thank you all so much for watching today's show. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Flower Power, catchphrase.
And as always, Ray are out.
I thought you were going to say happy birthday, Brian. Lubo, what's your catchphrase?
Missed the trick there. I want to do it again. Come back to me again at the end.
As always, leave it out.
Flower Power, give your new catchphrase.
And as always, happy birthday, Brian.
And as always, what the cough is brewing. Take it away, Aki.
Not my birthday and anniversary till Sunday. Thomas, Frank. Thomas, Frank. Rehab session for the Frankaholics is over. And as always, Levy out.